Dan, you're next up on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Michael. Triple Up Poverty is a masterwork that holds its own with the works of Hayek, Burnham, and all the anti-communism books of the middle of the last century. It's incredible, and I have a question.
That's very... Now, wait a minute. Let me pause. That is very beautiful of you to say, but you know that there's not been but maybe one review on a blog since it came out, which is astonishing when you think about it, isn't it?
It is astonishing. Ted Nugent's review is excellent. And,
yes.
Yeah, this book holds its own with all of those masterworks, and hopefully it will go down in the future as that. And in the second chapter, you mention the terms Leninism and Trotskyism. Now, I've been doing a little reading of Marx and Engels based on what you recommend in Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. I want to know my enemy. And I'm still unclear is like the difference between, can you split some hairs here and define Leninism versus Trotskyism and how they both weigh up against Obamaism?
Oh, you have put me on the spot, John. Well, it's a whole chapter. It's not difficult. It's not that easy to just lay out because I thought long and hard on it. Lenin and Marx were early communists, but they differed greatly. I have defined Obama as a pan-Leninist. Do you understand what a pan-Leninist might be?
Yeah, that's where you take, and I'm going to throw the Frankfurt School in here with it, you take like minorities, women, what have you, and that is their new proletariat, and it's pan because it's worldwide to where the so-called proletariat or underclass attacks the bourgeoisie, which is regular patriotic Americans, for a worldwide type revolution, with Obama as the ultimate leader, like, say, as a UN type person. That's
okay, so let me look at a paragraph on page 57 to answer your questions in a simple way. Like its cousin in China, Obama is pursuing more of a neo-communism or soft socialist communist approach. In a way, Obama is using a tribrid revolutionary plan. Some Marxism, some Leninism, and some Trotskyism. And while we don't yet have commissars in America, as are found in communist countries, we do have czars and czarinas. This cadre of like-minded companions shapes the direction of the government without congressional oversight or approval and is only accountable to Comrade Obama. You would think that the genius comedian would have said one word about it last night, but this jerk grew up in an apartment somewhere in New York where he was fed socialist tripe, which is why he is one. Now, any European with reasonable political knowledge knows what's going on here in America, but I'm afraid that the American voter is terminally naive. How can we explain that 64.6 million sheeple voted him into office? Why were they willing to give Obama the benefit of the doubt in spite of the evidence? That's how I bet. That's how. And I bet they'd refuse to believe what I'm saying about Barack Obama, even if they were to see him with their own two eyes marching around the White House under a Lenin banner, wearing a Che Guevara shirt and red beret. So what I'm getting at is the socialism that they never taught you in school is what I teach in Chapter 2 in Trickle Up Poverty, in the section called You Say You Want a Revolution. Does that answer any of your questions in any way? Perhaps not.
Yeah, it does. And I got to tell you, for a lot of these sheeple to vote against Obama, it's basically like inviting the cop to the party. That's how brainwashed a lot of these young liberals are. And I tell you, I don't know. He could get reelected, Michael.
How?
Well, some of the people that I listen to, I mean, you try to explain anything to them about Obama. I mean, 2 + 2 = 4, and it's like this slide goes in their brain, and it's like they get this zombie look on their face, and they just want to walk away from you. You know, I'm talking about people that are like 20, 23, 21, you know, really involved in the pop culture. I mean, they probably watched and thought that Obama was just wonderful and can do no wrong, you know, and so...
Well, the comedian is a lapdog of the leftist establishment, and yet he wiped the floor with the so-called leader of the leftist establishment. That is not very good for the comedian. The one good thing to come out of this is he is now their public enemy number one. The only good thing to come out of it, listen, there is nobody more vicious than a communist towards another communist. And all I can tell you is that the lapdog comedian is now public enemy number one of David Axelrod. I can guarantee it, that they no longer hate Rush Limbaugh as much as they hate this comedian.
I agree with that, and I got to tell you, That's why that business with Juan Williams really disturbed me, because when the lefties start going after each other, they're about to make a heavy move.
Well, they're very desperate right now. And we know that they're desperate by the amount of the number of reports we're getting from around the country on vote rigging, machine rigging, etc. The races are being fixed around America. Now, you combine that with Obama picking socialist czars who have been very quiet recently. You combine that with his saying during the campaign that he wants to create a national private security force just as well-funded, just as large as the U.S. military. And I am sitting here waiting with bated breath for some kind of totalitarian dictum coming out of this this president. It could happen, and it could happen rather rapidly. And I can guarantee you Hollywood would march Sieg Heil right behind him.
I'm sure they would, too. And that's why, ironically, it might be the Democrat Party that doesn't want him to run next time. And the Democrat Party might be destined to collapse in a shambles. I don't know. What do you see?
What, whether the Democrat Party is going to collapse?
Yeah.
Well, only if they lose more than 50 seats will they implode. They will have to stop being pulled to the left by Obama and his radicals. Unless they lose at least 50 seats, they're not going to change course. But remember, it's not so easy to get rid of a man with total power, and he has absolute power, whether people know it or not. He, in fact, has used para-constitutional methods to force through many of the plans that he's already done. These were not done legitimately. Obama and his minions did one deal after another, almost extra-constitutionally, in one way or another. I believe, though, there's a real counter-revolution going on against this Leninist Marxist revolution coming out of the Obama administration, and that's why the Tea Party movement is picking up steam, and that's why the left is starting to panic. And all you got to do is look at the czars and see what they really want to do and what they've written and what they plan to do. Let me read you something that Vladimir Lenin has said, and I quoted from page 49 of my book. This is Lenin himself, because you asked about Lenin and Trotsky, so I'll give you one little answer. Here's Lenin, what he wrote, his views of the free press. We Bolsheviki have always said that when we reached a position of power, we would close the bourgeois press. To tolerate the bourgeois newspapers would mean to cease being a socialist. When one makes a revolution, one cannot mark time, one must always go forward or go back. He who now talks about the freedom of the press goes backward and halts our headlong course towards socialism. It's eerie. It's eerie. I mean, we were hearing an awful lot about the fairness doctrine when Obama came to power, remember? Both Democrats and Republicans alike were talking about clamping down on free speech on the radio. Suddenly it went away. Do you think that's really going to go away after Obama sees that he's lost an awful lot of seats because the American people are hearing what he's actually doing, primarily from the internet and talk radio? His enemies are not the people. They know who their enemies are. Their enemies are the internet and the freedom of speech on the radio. Do you think that this power-mad president and his power-mad minions are going to suddenly walk away because they realize that they've lost so many seats? I'll let you decide. I'll be right back.